Okay, so for months, the tech world has been buzzing about this little orange box, the Rabbit R1. You've probably seen it. It promised a revolutionary new AI that could organize your whole life, text your friends and basically act as your personal assistant. So let's dive into this and see what's really going on. And this is the big question, right? The one everyone's been asking. Can this thing really replace your phone? Is this the future of how we interact with technology? Or is there maybe something else at play here? All right, before we even get into the nuts and bolts of the tech, let's talk about the hype. Because the hype was incredible. This wasn't just some niche gadget. It had some serious financial momentum behind it from day one. Yep, you're seeing that right. $50 million. And get this, that number comes from a staggering $20 million in pre-sales from people who were just super eager to get their hands on it, plus another $30 million in venture capital funding. So you can imagine the expectations were absolutely sky high. So what was the secret sauce they claimed to have? Well, it was something called LAM, which stands for Large Action Model. This was marketed as a brand new, groundbreaking AI that could understand what you wanted and then actually perform actions for you, turning your words directly into completed tasks. And the promises they made were so specific and honestly pretty life-changing. The marketing showed the R1 just effortlessly ordering Ubers, restocking your groceries, messaging friends to say you're running late, and even planning an entire vacation. This is what people were paying for. This was the dream. Okay, so that was the promise. That was the dream. But what happened when investigators got their hands on the device and tested it on the exact tasks from its own advertisements? And this just perfectly illustrates the disconnect. The very first major test, ordering breakfast, a key marketing claim, and it's a total failure. Not a little hiccup, but a complete inability to do the job, blaming it on, maintenance. And it's the exact same story with another core promise. You ask it to communicate with other people, and the R1 just admits it can't. This isn't a bug, This seems to be a fundamental lack of the advertised feature. So if this amazing LLM isn't doing these actions, then what is? This is where the investigation gets really interesting. If the device isn't working the way they said it would, then what technology is actually powering this thing? With the advertised AI clearly not up to the job, researchers decided to dig into the R1's code to find out what was actually running behind the curtain. And here's what they found. It turns out the R1 is running almost entirely on stuff you can get right off the shelf. For general AI chats, it's using ChatGPT. For web searches, it uses another existing AI called Perplexity. And for those all-important actions, well, it's using something called playwright scripts. Now, this difference is absolutely crucial. The LAM they promised was supposed to be intelligent, adaptable. But playwright scripts, they're just simple web automation. They're basically a list of rigid, pre-written commands. They aren't intelligent at all. They just click buttons in a set order over and over. Researcher Emily Shepard just nails it here. A true AI, like the Llama was supposed to be, should be able to adapt if a website changes its layout. A hard-coded script, on the other hand, breaks the second a button moves. And that explains why services like DoorDash were constantly under maintenance. So, with all this evidence on the table that the R1 is using simple scripts instead of a revolutionary new AI, how did the company react? Let's take a look. So check this out. This is a quote from Rabbit's CEO from before the investigation. He himself made the exact distinction, claiming his LAM was so intelligent that it wouldn't break like a simple script would. This makes the company's defensive reaction later, well, it makes it even more telling. When the investigators confronted them with the findings, this was Rabbit's official response. Instead of actually addressing the evidence about using playwright scripts, they just tried to discredit the investigator by questioning their credentials. It's a classic case of attacking the messenger, not the message. The technical evidence and the company's super defensive response, they paint a pretty clear picture. But one final piece of information from inside the company seemed to confirm everything the investigation suspected. And this is the bombshell. An anonymous employee reportedly confirmed it directly. The large action model, the core selling point of this $50 million product, doesn't actually exist as advertised. It was just a marketing term. So, ultimately, it all comes down to this one question.
Where do we draw the line between ambitious marketing for a future product and selling something based on technology that just isn't there? That's really the question at the heart of the Rabbit R1 story.